Welcome to this deep dive. We're tackling something pretty crucial today, especially now. How do you actually build lasting success for an organization?
Right, in such dynamic times.
Exactly. And our guide for this is the article Four Key Takeaways from Turning the Flywheel by Jim Collins.
A really insightful piece.
We're thinking of this as, a way to understand how to really generate that momentum, the kind that keeps things thriving long term.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, I think, is this core idea that big breakthroughs, they often don't come from some massive single change.
Uh-huh.
It's more about the compounding effect, right? So
Yeah.
doing the right things consistently, making sure they're aligned.
Yeah.
This article gives us a framework for that.
Okay, so let's get into it. First key takeaway,
Hmm.
actually building your flywheel.
Hmm.
The article lays out a process. It starts with looking back, listing out successes, but also failures.
Yeah, you need both sides of that coin.
Then you look for patterns in that history, trying to spot what could be the components of your flywheel.
The things that consistently led to good results.
Right. And then you sketch it out, refine it down to maybe 4 to 6 key parts that logically feed into the next one.
And crucially, you validate it against your past. Does this sketched flywheel actually explain those past successes and failures? It needs to be rooted in reality.
It can't just be aspirational then.
No, not at this stage.
Yeah.
It has to reflect what has worked. The article brings up Amazon, for instance.
Okay.
Now, they don't list the exact components in the article, but you can sort of imagine it, right? Lower prices bring in more customers.
Which then attracts more third-party sellers.
Exactly. Leading to a wider selection, which makes Amazon even more attractive to customers. It's a self-reinforcing loop.
That makes sense. A cycle building on itself.
Precisely.
Okay, so that leads us nicely into the second takeaway, creating momentum. It's not just having the flywheel.
You got to get it spinning and keep it spinning. You need to fuel it.
And the article highlights some key areas for that fuel. Things like hiring people who are not just skilled, but really passionate,
That's huge. Yeah. Getting the right people on the bus, as Colin says elsewhere.
and building a culture of excellence, maybe using things like competency framework so people know what good looks like.
Sure, providing that clarity. And then you need execution processes that are directly tied to the flywheel.
Like what, for example?
Well, maybe quarterly OKR reviews,
Mhm.
ensuring those objectives are actually driving a component of the flywheel, making strategy operational.
Got it. And there was also mention of a core ideology.
Yeah, like Amazon's leadership principles,
Mhm.
a set of guiding beliefs that keep everyone aligned and pushing in the same direction, reinforcing that culture.
Okay, so you've got the flywheel design, you're fueling it with people, culture, processes. What's next?
This is where I think it gets really strategic. Takeaway number 3, core competency. It's often called the hedgehog concept.
The hedgehog concept, right? I've heard of that.
It's about really drilling down to find the intersection of 3 things. The article gives 3 questions to guide you.
Okay, what are they?
First, what can you realistically be the best in the world at? Not just good at, but truly world-class.
Okay, high bar.
Second, what drives your economic engine? What's the key metric, the denominator, that has the biggest impact on your financial success?
So understanding the core economics.
And third, what are you deeply passionate about? What genuinely motivates your team beyond just the paycheck?
Passion, performance, profit, kind of.
Essentially, yes. And the key is finding where those 3 circles overlap. It's not enough to be passionate about something you can't be the best at or something that doesn't drive your economic.
You need all 3 aligned. That's the sweet spot.
That's the hedgehog concept. That's your core focus.
And that leads directly to the final takeaway, number 4.
It does. Consistency. You absolutely need consistency to keep that flywheel rotating
So once you know your hedgehog, your core competency, you just stick to it.
relentlessly.
Yeah.
You focus on that core and you consistently execute every single component of your flywheel, turn after turn.
Because each completed turn makes the next one easier.
That's the idea. It builds momentum.
Yeah.
Successfully completing one step naturally leads to the next, creating this chain reaction. Think about pushing a heavy physical flywheel.
Right, the first push is the hardest.
Exactly. It takes immense effort. But each subsequent push, building on a momentum of the last, gets easier until eventually it's spinning almost on its own with tremendous force.
So it's about the long game, that disciplined execution.
Absolutely. Not chasing every shiny new object, but sticking to your knitting, your core, and executing consistently.
So wrapping this up, these 4 takeaways, building the flywheel based on reality, fueling it through people and process, defining your core hedgehog concept, and then relentless consistency. They're all interconnected.
They really are. You can't just do one. They work together to build that sustainable momentum.
It's a powerful framework. And it makes you think, doesn't it, this flywheel idea? It's not just for big organizations.
No, not at all. You could apply this thinking personally to your career, maybe, or even long-term personal goals.
What would your personal flywheel look like? What are those key components for you?
That's a great question for reflection. What activities, when done consistently, build momentum towards what you're passionate about and good at?
Something to definitely mull over. If you want to dig deeper into this, the article points to Jim Collins' book, Turning the Flywheel. We'll have links for that.
It's a worthwhile read.
And if you'd like to connect with us about this or anything else, there's a link for that too. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.